Senator Reed. Following up a little bit where Senator King was going on this, many of you talked about establishing norms in cyberspace. Do you think it's possible to establish or maintain that norm without enforcement behaviors? When we look at publicly identifying those who are responsible for an activity or imposing costs on them, can we do that? I'll begin with you, Mr. Secretary.
Well, I believe that trying to establish these norms are very, very helpful. In the Cold War, for example, there was a tacit agreement that we would not attack each of our early warning missile launch, warning satellites. And so establishing these norms are very important, but they will be extremely difficult because the enforcement mechanisms in cyber are far more difficult than, because it's much more easy to attribute missile attacks, et cetera. So I believe that this agreement with China is a good first step, that we should strive to establish norms, especially between nation states, and establish norms which we believe are beyond the bounds, and to try to establish mechanisms by which we can work these through. But this will be very, very difficult, Senator, because it's because of it's much more difficult.
And we have the added problem, of course. The norms are, as Secretary Work said, really applicable to nation states. And of course, you have a whole range of non-nation state actors out there who wouldn't necessarily subscribe to these norms and would be a challenge to deal with, even if there were nation-state mutual agreement.
Admiral.
I would echo the comments of my two teammates. I'm struck by, we're all captives of our own experience. In my early days as a sailor, well before I got into this business, at the height of the Cold War out there, we knew exactly how far we could, between the Soviets and us, we knew exactly how far we could push each other. And we pushed each other at times right up to the edge. I mean, very aggressive behaviors. But we developed a set of norms. We had a series of deconfliction mechanisms in the maritime environment. We actually developed a set of signals over time so we could communicate with each other. So I'm comfortable that we're going to be able to achieve this over time in the nation-state arena. But as my teammates have said, it's the non-state actor that really complicates this to me. It's going to make this difficult.
So when we're attacked in cyberspace, how do we impose costs on those who are attacking us? Do we respond in cyberspace, or can we look at other ways to, I think, respond in an appropriate manner, say with sanctions? What would you look at, Admiral?
So what we have talked about previously is we want to make sure we don't look at this just from one narrow perspective, that we think more broadly, we look across the breadth of capabilities and advantages that we enjoy as a nation, and we bring all of that to bear as we're looking at options as to what we do, and that it's a case-by-case basis. There's no one single one-size-fits-all answers to this, but fundamentally think more broadly than just cyber. Not that cyber isn't potentially a part of this. I don't mean to imply that.
Correct. Mr. Secretary, would you agree with the Admiral on that? Do you see a variety of options out there, and wouldn't it be more beneficial to us as a country to be able to have a policy that is a public policy on what those options could be and the consequences that would be felt when we are attacked?
Absolutely. And that is what I say about a broad policy, where we will respond in a time, place, and manner of our own choosing. In this case, there's an asymmetry with our nation-state potential adversaries. They are all authoritarian states. The attack surfaces that they have are far smaller than what we have as a free nation, and we value that. We do not want to close down the Internet, but we are more vulnerable to a wide variety of attack surfaces than our adversaries. So we may sometimes have to respond proportionally, but in a different way than a simple cyber response. It might be sanctions. It might be a criminal indictment. It might be other reactions. So we believe very strongly that this is something where it's an interagency process. The process is established where they are taken care of and handled on a case-by-case basis.
And does the administration have a definition on what constitutes a cyber attack?
Well, any type of malicious activity which causes either damage or theft of information or IP, all of those are under either malicious cyber activities. It might be espionage. In each case, there's no defined red line for what would constitute an act.
What would be the difference between a cyber attack and cyber vandalism?
Well, I would have to make again, a case-by-case determination, and of course, important consideration here in terms of our reaction would be attribution. And that, again, it would be case-by-case.
And cyber vandalism, ma'am, do you believe, is that stealing information or IP or?
The attack by North Korea on Sony was described by the president as cyber vandalism. I was just wondering on how you distinguish that, that definition from a cyber attack.
Well, it didn't affect a national security entity, but it certainly did cause damage to the company. And in that case, and this is an important illustration of when we could attribute very clearly, and there was uniform agreement across the intelligence community to attribute that attack to the North Koreans, and we did sanction them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.